What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video, and welcome to your stimulus check update, stimulus package and infrastructure update, and daily news report for Friday, September 17th. So today I got some updates for you. We're going to dive into the vaccine and possible upcoming booster shot update. I got some information there. Got some information regarding why your mail could be extremely slow very soon. And I want to dive into what is going on with the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill and explain the idea behind inflation checks. Now, this is just an idea, but it's interesting. So let's get into the update for today. Here's what we know. Yesterday, President Biden, he actually met with Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Now, they tried to figure out where they are with their caucus, where they are with the the Democrats in the House of Representatives and the Democrats within the Senate. How close are they for getting the numbers to support a $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill? Well, both sides stated they have multiple holdouts. They have holdouts, and they say that they need to address the opposition very soon. It has to happen immediately. Remember, the Senate has been back in session since Monday. They're on day 5. The House of Representatives comes back on Monday. So in 3 days, the House of Representatives will be back in session. That is good news. Hopefully, they will get something done. We know that there's currently at least 10 moderates within the House of Representatives that are opposing the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill because they say that they need to get their demands met first. And right now, the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill is just too expensive. Well, there's 2 moderates in the Senate that are mainly pulling the strings. This is Senator Joe Manchin and Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Joe Manchin is really the one that's pulling the strings here. But they are also trying to use their leverage to try to get progressives to back down, lower the price of their $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill, not demand that all 5 of their top priorities are included, and then they could pass the bill. But essentially, it would be closer to a $1.5 to $2 trillion bill. Now, Joe Manchin would be happy with that. Senator Sinema would be happy with that as well. But progressives obviously will not support that. What we know is moderates pretty much saying they want to test Nancy Pelosi and progressives and see if they will tank and kill the vote on the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. Well, what we know is progressives have already stated they will tank any bill, whether it's the $1.2 trillion bill or the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. They will tank both bills if they do not get their 5 top priorities met. So, as of right now, it could go either way. So even when President Biden met with moderates on Wednesday, he met with Senator Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema, as well as others, but he still doesn't have an idea as to the direction that they need to go in order to get both of them on board without losing any additional votes in the House or the Senate. That's turning into a very tough issue because right now, nobody has an answer. But here's something else. Right now, experts are saying that the Biden administration is just too focused. They're too focused on trying to get the wealthy individuals of this country to pay their fair share in taxes. And part of that $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. Well, what they say is they can't see it as hurting the working class and middle income earners in our country. They say getting rid of the Trump tax cuts hurts middle income families, and they argue that passing a $3+ trillion infrastructure bill will only cause more inflation. However, it will not be runaway inflation. What they are saying is that this actually erodes the wages of the working class people in the short term. So, by seeing increasing inflation, by passing a $3 trillion infrastructure bill, and you see inflation increase, it's going to mean products are more costly. And if they're more costly, but you're not seeing a wage increase from your job, it means your wages are eroded a little bit quicker and you're getting less stuff. That's not great. Experts also say that in the short term, funding for the $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill might not be there. And it's because what we are seeing right now is with a small amount of inflation over the next year or so, this could actually hurt a lot of people. But again, we're going to see what happens. But right now, if the bill isn't funded, moderates say they will not support this. But experts are saying that the bill probably is not going to be funded, and some of it has to do with inflation. But again, we're going to see what happens. And again, the House Representative comes back on Monday. So we should have a lot of good reports over this next week. And again, I will be here every step of the way. Now, you're probably thinking, you can't afford food, you can't afford services right now due to inflation, right? Everything's gone up, everything's more expensive. Well, I want to address what one economist is saying. One economist is pretty much calling for an inflation check. An inflation check. And give me your thoughts on this, okay? I thought this was very interesting. One economist floated the idea to give the American people a stimulus check for a year's worth of groceries. Okay, sounds good, right? Probably thinking, oh, it's going to be a big check. I spent a lot of money on groceries. Well, it's not quite that simple. The idea is to give a check of the differences between what it costs now for groceries versus what it would have cost last year for groceries. They're pretty much just going to cover the cost of inflation. That is the inflation check. Now, I don't know how they would even go about finding out exactly how much to give, because certain families eat different foods. Some are more expensive, some are less expensive, right? But the idea behind this is to send out like a $250 to $500 check per person, because that would cover a year's worth of groceries, or the inflated prices of groceries. That's the idea. Now, again, this was floated by an economist. Now, I don't know if they're pushing this into Congress. I don't know if it came from Congress. Right now, the report indicates that this was just an idea floated by an economist. So this isn't a proposal right now. There's no legislation on this, but it's an idea. And the reason why I wanted to bring this to your attention is because I wanted to get your input on this. What do you guys think of this? Do you think that this would be good? It would help out the American people, or do you think it would be bad? Now, one comment in this big thread was, if this were to actually become a thing, the bill would need to take into account what kind of inflation we would see after this inflation check. So what they're saying is we need to account for any possible future inflation due to these additional funds. I can tell you right now, we would most likely see additional inflation if an inflation check were to come out. But if it was already kind of included into that check, then we should be able to get through it. And this economist is saying that this would just be a short-term effect. It wouldn't be long-term. But again, we'll see. But let me know your thoughts on this down in the comment section below. I thought it was a very interesting idea. It was a different take on a stimulus check, right? An inflation check. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Now, I said earlier, we could see delays in mail, right? If you get mail at all, you could see delays in that. Whether you're getting a package from Amazon, you're getting a stimulus check in the mail from the IRS, or maybe you're getting an audit. Who knows? But you could see a delay. Here's the reason why. What we know right now is the United States Postal Service is still understaffed. They obviously have additional steps they have to take due to COVID. But the big news this morning is that the postal workers are now required to get the vaccine. There was initial reports that stated that no, postal workers did not have to get the vaccine. However, they were highly encouraged to. But the reports this morning say no, postal workers do have to get the vaccine. They are part of this OSHA mandate. And for the roughly 600,000 employees from the United States Postal Service, this is potentially going to cause issues. I've been addressing this for the past couple weeks, is the mandates coming from states and from the Biden administration now for healthcare workers to get the vaccine or succumb to weekly testing. What we are seeing is many healthcare workers are just quitting. They're just going to quit their jobs for the meantime until something kind of comes about. Well, what we know is the exact same thing could happen for any of these postal workers. If they decide to quit which many, as of this morning, are already saying they plan on quitting their jobs because they do not feel they should be required to get a vaccine. So, if this happens, the United States Postal Service could lose even more employees, which would further slow down any mail that you may or may not get. So, just want to be 100% clear. This is something that we could see. We aren't seeing people really losing their jobs, but people are quitting. People are not getting the vaccine, which means instead of quitting, the employer has to then let them go. So they are being fired, which as of right now, you can still collect unemployment benefits because of that. So, something else we know is today should be a big day for vaccine and booster shots. According to reports, the FDA will meet today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to discuss the vaccine boosters. Many within the FDA expect it will be a multi-day event because there's a lot of things they have to go over and they have to come up with the government policy. What health experts are currently telling us is the goal is to get the booster shots to all people 16 years of age or older. However, there are some health experts that anticipate if the booster shot is passed and it does get the FDA approval, what we are going to see is that most likely elderly people would be the first ones to get the booster shot, even though I personally know many people have already received a booster shot. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but people are getting them already. But they are saying that these should go to the elderly first since they were the first people to get the vaccine as well. What they are also saying is that there's no need to get a booster shot for children that are 12 and older, 12 to 16, because children 12 to 16 years old have recently been approved for the vaccine, and they still have months remaining before their 5 to 6 months booster would even be required or needed. So that's what we're hearing there. One medical correspondent from CNN, he actually had this to say, and he wants the FDA to answer all questions, but doesn't believe that they will this time around. Some of the questions that he says he wants answered and says the American people need answers to are: is immunity waning? How severe are breakthrough infections? How long does the booster effect last? And how much do boosters reduce transmission? He says we need answers to all those questions, and all the answers to those questions will show where the United States stands in terms of this pandemic. So that's what we know right now, but as always, as I know more, I promise I'll come back on and fill you in on all the latest news and updates. Again, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. If you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, go ahead, hit that like button. It really does help out the channel. Also, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.